Hi, this is Tutor from Uplatz, and this is eighth module of our Salesforce learning sessions. If you want to know more about Uplatz, you can log on to uplatz.com or can contact Uplatz by the mentioned email and phone number on this slide. On today's module, we will be talking about a role hierarchy. We'll talk about user profiles and licenses, and we'll create some user profiles and users in our Salesforce org. So in our previous modules, we have seen about role hierarchies. We talk about OWD settings and grant access using a role hierarchy. We have seen if we set any objects OWD settings to private, and we check that grant access using role hierarchies, then up in the hierarchy we would be able to see the records created by the users below in the hierarchy. So I just log into salesforce.com with this website. I just click on this login button. So before we create profiles and users, we will create a role hierarchy. To do that, on the quick find box, I'll search for roles. I click on roles under user. Okay, so we already have this role hierarchy created by default. It is then CEO and CFO, COO. One thing is we can delete this, create our own hierarchy, or we can keep this, or we can create another hierarchy from Uplatz. If you remember, when we created this developer edition, we gave a company name as Uplatz, so that's why it is showing here Uplatz. So instead of deleting the old already created hierarchy, I'll create a new hierarchy from Uplatz here. Okay, here we'll give a label. Since we are working on a university application, so we'll give principal here. Principal. Okay, then click save and go back to roles again. Now both CEO and principal reports to Uplatz. So now under the principal, we'll create another hierarchy. Let's say a professor. Okay, go back to roles. Under the principal, there will be. Just let me go back to roles again. Under the principal, I just expand this. We can see professor here, and under the professor, we'll create student role, student, and hit save. I click to roles again to see the hierarchy that we have created. Okay, so here Uplatz is a company name. Then we have already created hierarchy. Either we can delete or we can keep it. It's up to us. And after that, we have principal hierarchy, and under the principal we have professor, and under the professor we have student, and under the student we have nothing. Okay, so if student creates a record, even though the OWD setting of student object is private, if student creates a record, then professor will be able to see those records, and the principal can see records created by professor and student. So this is how a role hierarchy works. So now user profiles and license types. User should have a valid account to log into Salesforce. Um, while creating a new user, you should select profile, license, username, should be unique across all org, and last name. User user license determines the different features of the user's profile, and license type should be created before user is created. Profiles are linked to user license type, and this is mandatory. A user can be associated with only one profile and license combination. There are many standard profiles available, and they can be cloned to create custom profiles. You cannot create custom profiles directly. So when we click on profiles, then there is no option to create a new profile. Instead, there is an option to clone from a previous profile. So we will open one of the profiles created already in Salesforce, and we will hit the clone button, and we'll clone our profile, our custom profile from that. We'll do that in a minute. Different types of license and company profiles. User license, we have Salesforce license, Salesforce platform license, chatter free, and force.com. Then we have featured license, particularly related to marketing users and service cloud users. Then we have permission set license, usage based entitlement licenses. How to view list of licenses in our org. We'll select setup, go to administrator, company profile, company information. This is how we navigate to classic Salesforce. On the Lightning, we just need to type company profile, and we will see all the licenses. Company information list, the default locale, languages and time zone, currency locale, and multi-currency settings. You can set business hours, holidays, fiscal years, etc. We have seen that already. Set how we can set business hours and holidays and etc. I have mentioned a link on this slide to know more about the user licenses in Salesforce. User profiles and license demo. Now it's time to create some profiles in our Salesforce org. To do that, I on the quick find box, before we directly jump to profiles, let's search for company information. um, let's click on this company information. From company information, we can see the available licenses and the used license. So as of now, we have one Salesforce license available, and we have three Salesforce platform license available. We can see other license available and used. So to create the custom profiles, we'll be using one Salesforce license and one Salesforce platform license. To do that, now it's time. It's time to create profile. To do that, let's search for profile in the quick find box. I'll click on profile. From prof here, I click on S. I'll clone the standard platform user profile. We can clone any profile. Let's give it professor name. Okay, so here is our professor profile created, and below our, let's check the access, uh, if whether he can access all those application, all that application. We have created all the objects, and currently if you see student activities, conjunction, and all the custom objects, this profile don't have access, and currently I'll leave this as blank. Currently I'll just save this. So now we have a professor profile. For principal, we'll be using system administrator, because system administrator has access to all the things in Salesforce, and principal is at the top of the hierarchy in our Uplatz University. So there is no need to create any separate profile for principal. Principal need to see each and everything. So we'll consider system administrator as principal, and now it's time to create student profile. To do that, I'll again go to still standard user. I'll clone standard user profile. Okay, now we have I give student. All the students will be using a student profile, and all the professor will be using professor profile. I click on save. So in free developer edition, we don't have much license to create number of users and profiles. We are limited on license, and we can create users as per the available licenses. So we're not going to create much users here as of now. We are on a free developer edition, so we cannot create number of users. So we are done with the profiles. If I now go to profiles, and if I want to see the profiles that I have created, I created one with the name professor, and here we have professor, and this custom checkbox is checked because this is custom profile. And one important thing to note that we can delete. There is delete option available on the custom profiles, but there is no such option on the already created profiles. We cannot delete standard profiles. So one is professor, and other we have created student. Here again we have the delete option, and for others we don't have delete option. We can just clone from those profiles. Okay, create below profiles. We have created professor profile, we created student profile, and we'll be considering principal profile as a system admin. So I'm not going to explicitly creating principal profile. Mm, we have created profiles. Now we need to create some users as well. To do that, on the quick find box, I click on user. Okay, so here we have option new user. Okay, so first name will give first name CSC professor, C prof, alias we can give any. For email, we need to give a valid email, and for username, let's see, CSC prof, CSC prof @uplatz.com. For email, we'll be giving USAP training 10 @gmail.com. Okay, so now here we have user licenses available. I will select the Salesforce platform, and here I have two options to choose from. Professor, I'll choose professor here for, and click save. Instead of giving a proper noun, I used CSC professor, but in the real time there will be proper nouns. So we have created one user. We will create one more record in professor. We have create CSC professor or computer science engineering professor. Now we click on new user. So we'll create ECE professor, electronics communication. We can give any name, and email we need to give a valid email. So for username mm, for username we'll be giving ECE prof @uplatz.com. We can give anything, ECE prof. Okay, roles are not mandatory. We can keep this non-specified. And for a professor, again, you choose Salesforce platform, and then for profile, I will choose professor profile. And for roles, let's search for, yes, here is professor. Save. We'll create one more user for student. Again, we'll go to user, new user. Okay, first name Uplatz student. For username, we'll give UPL student @uplatz.com. For nickname, I'll give Uplatz student. Okay, so now for roles, we have role here for student. For user license, I'll use Salesforce. We have student here. Then I click on save, and now we have created two professors and one student. So now to log on, so if we want to log in as per the users we have created, there are two options to do that. One is I click on user professor, navigator to wrong window. No, it's coming to the user backend. Okay, so to do that, one thing we can do, reset password, and the email will send on this email ID, and it will send us a link to to generate a password. Then and we can generate a we click on generate password, create password, and we go to login.salesforce. And instead of using this sfdc1@uplatz.com, what I need to do is I'll use this and the password that I have generated here. Sorry, my bad. Again, I click on this to log in as a CSE professor. I copy it and paste it here. I put the password. I'll hit the login, and I can log into Salesforce. But I'll have a selective accesses only as per the profiles of CSE prof. So, and the second option is I asked you to, I encourage you to do the same. Try to click on reset password, and you will get get a link, and from that link you can reset your password, you can generate a password, and you can log on to Salesforce, just the way I have explained. You can try to do this, but as of now, what we will do is we'll go to this login access policies, login access policies. And we can click this checkbox. Administrators can log in as any user. We save this. Changes have saved. And now I'll just give it a refresh. Okay, so here for the users that we have created, I have a login option. So for a quick check, let's log in as a student. I click on this login button here. Now I need not to reset password and then check my email and reset password. That will consume a lot of time. So for a practice, I request you to do that. And but for the time being, now I am logged in as a Uplatz student. So if to see our application, we go to this app launcher. Here that application is not available because when we created profile, we didn't mention permissions as per um, we didn't mention the permissions in that profile. So the student application is currently not visible here. So, and neither of the objects we have created. As we have seen, when we creating profile, all the checkboxes were false. When were creating profiles, even if I search for the student object, nothing is coming up. So we need to assign proper access so that student and professors can see their data. So I'll log out as student. again login back as administrator. This is again a very useful feature because if it would be difficult for system administrator to log in as other to log in explicitly log in with other usernames, but instead we can just select that option. We click this login button and we can see the things the way a professor CSE professor will see. So this is another helpful feature from Salesforce. So in our next module, we will be assigning we'll assign applications and we'll assign level of access to the profiles. So till the time, thank you so much. Keep practicing.